everyone. As you know, I'm Sue Cook, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, The Child Brain Whisperer. And last week at a lovely event for the World Council for Health at the College of Naturopathic Medicine, I met the lovely Althea Finch. And she invited me on her podcast, and I went on there yesterday. And today she's on mine. And her story is absolutely amazing and powerful, and she's an extraordinary healer. And so over to you, Althea.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. I want to know about your story because it's so powerful to share it with my viewers.
Yeah, so I am a natural therapist of 30 years. It's my vocation. I love helping people, and I teach people how to be pain-free or symptom-free without medication or operations. And I call it the pain-free method. I've helped people with full body arthritis become pain-free in 4 weeks, with trigeminal nerve pain, which is a nerve in the head that's called the suicide um, condition, and it definitely is. And I had one of the first people I took through my program was Lee, and she had nerve pain, and she had 4 children. She just lost her husband to cancer, and that was in 2016. And doing my program, doing the method, the pain-free method, it's never come back. That's what the method does. It's profound, and it works as soon as you use it, and it's very, very simple to use. Anyone can do it any time. So that was in 2000 when I created that. So it's been proved all these years for anything from simple niggles, negativity, all the way to serious chronic conditions like Lee, like Noreen with the full body arthritis. It's profound. It's a balancing, aligning method. So I say, if you have something that you don't want, like negativity, severe conditions, long-term pain, these are all out of alignment things. I call it out of alignment thing you don't want. So what the method is simple actions to immediately bring you into alignment. But when you connect to your pain, you are automatically going to be confronted by what's creating your problems, your back pain, your headaches, your whatever you've got, thing you don't want. And that's where the true healing comes in. So that can be the wobbly thing because we're in pain for reasons. It's not there for nothing. Your body doesn't do something for nothing, but it's reflecting you. So as you connect to your conditions, your thing you don't want, it's about being present and still and being in like an observing state, connecting to your problems, and then the reason they're there can release. It's profound. People get rid of all sorts of things very, very quickly. 30 years of back pain starts going in 5 minutes. Another lady with a carer, 30 years of back pain, it began to go in 2 minutes. Brain tumors. It's phenomenal. It's bloody brilliant.
So you said brain tumors. Do you mean the brain tumor went or just the pain from it?
Well, I only treated that lady for one, she just did one call with me, and she had 7 years of brain tumors, of constant pain, constant headaches, and she had 2 operations. She's on my testimonials. You can see her talking about it.
Yeah.
And we were both actually therapists in a clinic, both hands-on bodywork techniques in a clinic. And I said to her, come and sit with me a minute. I'll talk you through it and how to do it. So I showed her how to do this method, connect to the pain. And she would normally have been in constant pain, taken painkillers and gone home early. And she wasn't. In 2 minutes, she started to feel relief. She carried on doing the practice that I showed her, and it was another experience. That's all we did together. We just did one little session together. So it's profound when you do the right actions. It's like when you eat, you have that message, that need. Your body needs, you need to eat, and then you've learned that, well, you need to eat, and when you meet the need, then that message, that sensation of hunger goes away. So your body's always in homeostasis. Your body's always in a balanced state, always telling you what it needs. You need to sit down, you need to eat, you need to get some fresh air, you need to go and see your friends. We have these messages and guidance all the time. And essentially, it's about listening and responding in the correct way so that these different conditions and things goes.
And you developed this yourself?
Yes. So last year, I had a lot of interviews last year, and one of the things that kept coming up, it kept niggling at me, like, do I share this thing? Is it necessary? Do people need to hear this thing? And it's an important part of my life journey. And I thought, well, it's my personal thing. Why do people need to know what I'm going to say? But when I was having all these interviews last year, I had one particular one where the lady, she was saying how she really gets to know, really gets in there, gets the nut of what someone's trying to put across. And we talked about sharing what happened in my childhood, whether it was necessary to share it or not. And what I realized is that it was an important factor of why the method works so profoundly. So, shall I say,
Yeah.
just say what happened? When I was a little girl, I was sexually abused, and it wasn't addressed. It wasn't cleared and addressed and sorted out and supported. So I was left as a little girl to deal with it. And so I grew up, and that was sort of it. Oh, right, that's it. You just sort of grow up, do you? Things happen, and that's that. Life moves on. So I did. And I got to 13, and it was very difficult because I didn't want to grow up. I was sort of stuck and just I guess lots of teenage head stuff going on, and overwhelm about the world, and probably normal things as well, hormones and growing body and all that. But at 17, I became severely bulimic for 10 years. And I think what that was, looking back, was a suppression of feelings and sensations. And um, I always think, why did I become a hands-on therapist? I learned shiatsu and reflexology and hands-on touch. And it was through the touch that I could feel somebody. And I think connected to my childhood experiences and that need to connect to the feelings, to release, to let go of horrible experiences or things I didn't want or things that I didn't choose. They don't disappear in you. They are in you. Just because life moves on and you grow up, they don't disappear. You have memories and feelings. And if they're horrible things or things you don't like, or maybe it's not even you, maybe it's, I had one lady who had severe hip pain and shoulder pain. And her inner story was she was 5 when her parents divorced, and that was traumatizing for her. Hips are about family. It contains all the family support. So she had hip pain as an adult, and hoarding and things, and our behaviors are affected by what's inside of us. And I like to say everything's okay until it's not, because when we can't deal with something, as a little girl, I couldn't process it. I had no support. I had no avenue of release. And coming from an army family as well, and people that don't really, it wasn't discussed what happened. So the suppression there and just switch off, but it doesn't disappear. It's in you, even if you don't think about it. So there I was being bulimic for 10 years, and it was horrendous. I had a lot of self-body hate, and I couldn't control it. It was out of control. I couldn't stop it, and it was embarrassing, and it was disgusting, and it was I couldn't talk about it. So can you hear the words I'm saying? It's reflective of a little girl's experience, you
Yeah.
know?
How old were
So
you when
um,
the abuse?
between eight and 11, 12, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, so it's in you, in your voice, in your posture, in your choices of your life, in your physical behavior, in your belief system. So unless something is addressed, it will be rummaging around and showing up in you in all sorts of ways.
Now the body keeps score, doesn't it?
Body keeps a score and you can't ignore it. But what I've noticed in life, I'm 56 now, and what I've noticed is that life won't force you to do anything at all, but it's always calling you to balance. It's going to just nudge you back, nudge you back, nudge you back. So Obviously, my relationships with men were affected and my behavior. And so I think that I was called to hands-on body work because it was intimate, deep, full-on, full-on connection with another human being with no sexual contact. Analyzing it back, looking back, but it gave
Yeah.
me so much pleasure of soul connection. And what I discovered was that it was extraordinary. I could see inside, I could feel somebody, I could see the patterns of their life and why that shoulder was tight, or why they were bulimic, or why they had IBS or hip problems or migraines and things. I looked at the whole picture and the whole pattern, and I studied holistic therapies in my 20s. And so there I was, all of that, living life, helping people unbuckle from tightness and tensions and all sorts. And then I got to about 30, and in my personal life, I was dumped, as you do. And this cracked me open. So I'd had all this hi uh, personal history in me, which I didn't express. And then I put all my love into hands-on body work, 10 years of that. And then I got dumped, and it sort of just cracked me open because when that happened, it was almost like, well, you're supposed to find this nice guy and get married and have kids, and off you go. Next. And then he dumped me before all of that. And I thought, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. And now what do I do? I've run out of a rule book. What do I do? And I just was in a sort of no, not knowing what to do for 2 or 3 years. I was just sort of stuck. And but in my professional life, what happened? I completely opened up. It's almost like I'd learned all this bodywork stuff, and in this moment of being dumped, it sort of cracked me open, and it made me open and hypersensitive. So I completely changed my treatments because what I dawned on me, what it was like an epiphany of awakening of, that's how you heal. It was an awakening of knowledge that came to me, but it's almost like I had to be cracked open and have no option but to be
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
And luckily, I had a good family, and I was at my mum's house, and so I had a warm, loving environment for that to happen. Luckily, but in my professional work, it was extraordinary. Over those next couple of years, I had the most extraordinary treatments, and it was all about connecting with the person within. And what I realized was that, and what I realized is that you can do all sorts of lovely things. You can eat well, you can have massages, you can yoga till you're zen, you can do mainstream things and medication. You can do things to help yourself, but unless you connect to the key inside, which is you are the driver of the whole show. You're the driver of the car. The car doesn't work without you. Your body, your emotions don't work without you. You're the inner spirit, the inner drive, the wanting, the wishing, the who you are and what you are. And from that point, once I had that sort of awakening thing, I just chucked out all the methods I did. And when someone would come in the clinic, the I wouldn't work on them unless I had that soul to soul connection. And they would come in and say, "Oh, they're tight here or whatever." And I said, "Yeah," but and I'd be starting to analyze them and just feel, and what's their story? What are they all about? And sometimes they would say, and sometimes usually they'd just say, "Oh, I have a tightness. Can you help me?" So there I was doing reflexology or shiatsu, and I wouldn't really engage until I found that connection with them. Because sometimes people won't, and they can't, and they don't want to go there. They just want deep tissue massage. They don't want you to go anywhere near them, into their soul, into their who they are. They want it all surface. They don't want any connection. But I wouldn't work with those people because I'd moved on. So when most people I'd feel this connection, I'd be just generally just nice music and warm towels and how are you, get your breathing going, all this, get them into a receptive state. And then the stories would begin, they'd just fly up, and they revealed their story. It was the most extraordinary experience. And I just listen and watch and observe as I do reflexology with lovely oils and things. And I'd get to a sort of tight bit and I thought, that's that little bit, what's that little bit in the shoulder and whatever. And I'd start to listen and I would hear their arguments at home, or I could see their resistance or fears or stresses or whatever it was. And sometimes I could feel they're like, oh, don't go there. So then I would just back off and more oils and take a nice deep breath. Are you okay? Can you feel that? Just breathe into it and let yourself go and get into breathing. I'd guide them. You can never go beyond the person though, because it's very important to the person's own story takes you. I was like an observer sensation. But it was an extraordinary time. I mean, one of the first people I treated after having this awakening, I put my hands on this lady and she was on this, this chair where you sit forward and you have the whole
Oh
like that.
yes. Mm.
Um, and so she sat on that and I do work on her back while she's clothed and everything. But I put my hands on her and I started to see things. And the moment I put my hands on her, all these rich velvety robes unraveled down to the ground, all this cloak kind of, I stepped into a picture and all this dark green velvet sort of robes down to the floor. And there she was pedaling on this piano, and I could see her hands clunking around like this. And I looked at her hands, all in my mind's eye, you know.
Yeah.
I looked at, I looked at her hands, and they had these big chunky rings on her fingers, and she was clunking away. And I saw her. I looked at her hair. It was all this lovely, rich sort of red curls and shiny hair, and that was it. And I thought, oh, gosh, that was interesting. And when we stopped, so I thought I better do some treatment. She paid for half an hour. I better do some massagey things or something. And afterwards, it was the first time I'd had these visions, this view, and I thought, shall I say something? She might think I'm mad. And I thought, go on, Alfie, just. And I said to her, do you like the piano? And she said, oh, I love the piano, but I can't play a note. And I just gave me a bit of encouragement to share the story with her. And it was lovely. We had just had this nice sharing of what I felt, and um, I don't know what it was, whether it was her past life or her inner feelings or her dreams, or I don't know what it was, but there it was. And what I found with it was it was a release by connecting to the soul, by connecting to you. That's where the release is. And that's what the pain-free method is. And linking back to my childhood, I think this is all set up. Like I had these feelings and these difficult experiences that I didn't want. So what do you do with that? I don't want it. So I ran away in my life and tried to suppress it. Not thinking wise, but that's what happened. And then through the body work, constant contact with people of truth. And I love the truth of it. The body never lies, and people can't lie to you because you can feel it. And yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. So that I think that was the setup to connect to. So when these days, when somebody comes to me with a thing, and it might be physical things or emotional things or behavior things or sexual abuse or bulimia or whatever it is, thing you don't want, I do the same. I'm thinking, okay, that's the beginning of the story. That's what you're presenting. But where do we go from there? And by connecting to your physical pain or thing you don't want, by being present with it, not doing anything about it, but meeting the need. Like when we're hungry, we eat. We just meet the need, and then the body takes over. It's the same kind of process. So when you connect with your physical problems or thing you don't want, the release begins automatically, and then all the story or the reason it's there comes, and it releases if you can stay present. Does that make sense?
That's incredible. Love it.
Pretty
And
cool.
I think it's brilliant. And it's
Yeah.
lovely to hear you just go through the development of it really, and seeing things, because I see things too sometimes with people, not with patients necessarily, but with my friends, maybe past lives. And so I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's amazing. And when it first was in development in those first 2 or 3 years, I thought, what is this? And I just flowed with it. I remember sitting in the clinic waiting for the next customer, my next client, and it was a shop upstairs. So we'd sit at this desk in the shop, and there was a big bookshelf in the middle, and I saw this woman looking at the books, her back to me, and I was thinking, oh, I wonder what's her story. So I just was drawn to her, and I started to look into her, and I saw this mess in her lower parts of her body. I don't know what happened. I never did a treatment with her, but I was wondering, like, oh God, what a mess! Like, it was all grey, and whether she had problems with children, childbirth, or had a hysterectomy, or I don't know what, but it was all grey, and the energy was just like rotten flesh and all mess and all problems.
Yeah.
And I could feel this and see it in my mind's eye in her lower body. And I was thinking, and at that time I was studying facial analysis for,
Oh yes,
you know,
yeah, I can do
think,
that too.
yeah. Um, and I was just thinking, I wonder if you can see this on her face. I was thinking, because all that stuff, it must show everywhere. And
Yeah,
at that moment, she turned around. I thought, and she looked ashen, and she had these big bags under her eyes, the kidney area. And I thought, yeah, yeah, can see, can see. And at the time, I didn't know how to go with this, so I just went over to her and I said, I didn't say anything. I just said, we've got clinic downstairs, and if you need any help, just go for my card. I don't know. It was amazing. It was extraordinary. It was extraordinary. So many stories like that. I can tell you lots if you want me to. It was just
yeah.
wonderful.
I want to hear all about it. I think it's so
Come
exciting.
on. It's brilliant. It's
Yeah,
brilliant. I mean, the biggest thing I have these days is that I used to be in clinic and I was very inside. I didn't share. Even these days, being on videos, these days, I am part of me is a bit of a show off, and I like to shout from the rooftops. But I spent so many years being an inside person that
mm,
it's still quite a bit of a transfer to go from talking about it. And I find that a lot of people come to me with severe long-term chronic conditions because that's my specialty. But they're so skeptical that it can help them. And I guess in this world of skepticism and I don't know, con artists or whatever, maybe it's too big of a leap to trust somebody. I don't know. But I find most people who come to me, they feel drawn to me. And once they start doing the actions, it's great. It's step by step. It's not forced. Um, yeah, going back to so many stories. I remember what one lad. He was 20-year-old young man, and he had knee problems, and he was looking at having knee operations like an old person to
goodness.
have replacement knees, and his knees were crunchy and uncomfortable and painful and like arthritis. So he was looking at operations. So I said, "Come on." Let's have a go. So I put my hands on one of his knees and I listened to the story. So as I was I put my hands on his knee and I could feel like resistance. You always get a bit of resistance sometimes. You sometimes get a bit of resistance and what am I doing? Whatever. And you just relax and just breathe. And as I put my hands on his knees, I could started to feel the story. And what I saw is I saw a little boy sweating and running away, running from his father, running away, and I saw his father over at the house and the greenhouse. I could see it, everything, and I could see this little boy running. So as you connect to your story, that is the release. As you connect to the physical problems, that is the release. And I just listened and observed as I sort of moved around. I could feel a bit tension, so I'd rub around there or just feel into it and move up and down and just rock the knee or whatever, get a bit of movement. And all this story came. So that was about 20, 30 minutes of that time. And then I could feel, and all of a sudden, I could feel it went smooth. I could feel the blood flow, and it just suddenly went smooth. It was like the story's out. That's it. That was that little boy, that 20-year-old little boy in him released. And then we went to the other knee. I thought, well, that's done. And then I went to the other knee, and it took about 5 minutes because the story was already in the system. It was already releasing. And then I just encouraged the other knee, and he never had crunchy knees again. Can you imagine that poor guy? He's looking at an operation. They would have done an operation on him, But
yeah,
we're not just physical. We're feelings and memories and experiences, and it's all in there. It's
yeah.
not gone. They're memories and feelings. And he was frightened of his father. He used to run away from him all the time. So that's that emotional stuckness and pull.
Yeah.
And he can't go until that moment that we met. And we did that thing, and it's gone. Off he goes.
So when you put your hands on somebody and you see the story, what's it like for the person? What are they? You say the story goes round, but I'm assuming that patients don't see the story, that it's in their memory somewhere. But what's the experience like for them?
I think they do, but in their own terms, because people say it's like going on a journey into them. So I think they do go through whatever. And also the confirmation is when I relay it to them, what I observed, um, they sort of fill the gaps. And I said to that guy, this is what I saw. And he said, yeah, I was terrified of my dad. He used to run away all the time. I think he beat him or smacked him or something.
Yeah,
Or he's just a very dominant man. Um, so when I relay the story, you can feel its truth. You can feel it because it just all clicks in.
yeah,
And what are knees? Knees are about change and future, going forward, direction, flexibility. Um, and so describing your problem will be describing the problem itself, the real problem. And it's never your body. Your body just reflects you like a mirror. So
yeah,
that's the thing that I really feel is a bit of my banner at the moment. My calling is to shout out loud that if you try to get rid of your symptoms, you're just going to make them worse. If
yeah,
the feeling is you're trying to fix yourself or get rid of something or something wrong with you or something wrong with your body, then
yeah,
you're in the wrong direction, and it can only scream louder at you. Life will scream louder with more conditions, with more problems, with more issues.
yeah,
So the answer is to come into flow, is to connect to the problem.
yeah,
And then what I do is I get you to relax and to allow the space for the release to happen. And what's so lovely about healing is that when you have a problem, this means that you're ready to release it. When things come up, when the backache happens, when the issue that you've got comes up, the challenge that you've got, when it shows up, that means you're ready to release it.
yeah. They say what you resist persists and what you accept resolves, and it's kind of that,
Exactly.
isn't
Exactly.
it?
Life's about flow. It's not about fixing anything. If
Yeah,
we're all, I mean, the basis of how I see this, it's all feelings and body and mind. It's all twirling around and expressing, and we're light beings. We're connected to everything.
yeah,
We're connected. Every molecule in the air, we're connected to everything. And when you come from that stance, it all sorts of makes sense, I think, that if you're expressions of light, of energy, or expressions, then what's there to fix? You are a belief, you are a feeling, you are an action, you are an emotion. That's not solid. That's coming from you. That's a light being. So there's
yeah,
nothing to fix. It's just experiences you're going through. It's nothing wrong with you. It's nothing to fix. But some amazing things happen. I mean, I remember my mum's friend came over and I did her a treatment on that chair thing again. And we went upstairs just to have a quiet moment and I put my hands on her. This often happened then. It was very full on back then. And I put my hands on her. I couldn't move. This happened quite a lot. It was like I was like the taxi driver allowing movement, like a channel that's by our connection, the release could happen,
yeah,
like the observer and the receiver or something.
yeah,
So I put my hands on her, and I intended to do a nice treatment. Couldn't get my hands off her. I was stuck, and I was like, I don't look very professional here. So I was stuck. My hands were stuck on her shoulders, and um, I could feel her pain. I feel her life pain, her her things she'd taken on, her load, and her husband came in. And what was it that this lady had been left by her husband? He'd had a heart attack. He'd had an accident. He'd had a heart attack and he died. She was left without a job. having to pay the bills of this big home with two young children. Never hadn't worked for years. So she was landed in this very challenging time. She spent the next, I don't know, several years trying to get some stability and pay things and get a job and look after the little ones. A real tall order, as well as the grief of losing her husband and everything, her world changing. So I think part of that was all the burden she was carrying, and all her shoulders were thick and tight and unmoving. And as I put my hands on her shoulders, I was observing and feeling and noticing and sensing. So this is release, you know. And then all of a sudden, her husband came in, and he came in as a voice, and he said, "I love you," and it poured into her.
Wow,
It was extraordinary. Yeah.
I love that.
It was
That
beautiful. It was lovely. And I think my physical connection to her physical body allowed that intention, or that allowing somehow. It was
yeah,
beautiful. And I think it's what she wanted, she needed,
yeah.
what she needed. But so many beautiful things like that. I could go on, but I don't want to bore you.
I could talk to
It's
you
amazing.
and chew for.
Oh,
So you teach this. How?
I
Tell me
teach
about.
people, individuals to get pain free.
Yeah,
I teach, and I'm looking at teaching the teachers soon, so that might be a next step. But yeah, I teach people to be pain free. So they might come with a physical thing, long term, short term, whatever. Most people come to me with long term chronic pain, but I do a little short group call. The book's coming out soon, so it depends on what level of pain you're experiencing. So it can be physical things, it can be emotional anguish, stress, whatever it is. It can be mental things, anxiety, phobias, fears, traumas, life situation, relationship difficulties. So I call it thing you don't want. um, I think, we're very complex creatures, and we don't need more complexity. We're so detailed and complex that I keep the method as simple as it possibly can. It's
yeah,
literally about breathing. It's literally about connection. And so I say, see yourself on a scale. Where are you, on that side or are you on that side? Is it the grocer didn't turn up, or is it long-term chronic pain? It's that side. Is it feel fine? I feel fabulous. You're that side. Where are you? So what I teach is how to connect to the pain so it goes, whether you're on the horrible stuff or the good stuff. So you use this method to release the horrible stuff by connecting to the physical conditions, pain, whatever it is, and all the reasons it's there, all the holding. Or you use the method on the good stuff and it brings it in.
I love it.
Brings good stuff. It's
And so
fabulous, yeah.
you obviously have some medical intuitive type skills. So if you are teaching this to, can you teach this to anybody, or does somebody have to have an aptitude?
No, anybody who wants to have pain relief and be well, get pain free. Um, it's not good for people um who are very mainstream medicine people, because it's probably nonsense to them. It doesn't make any sense. They
Yeah,
just won't get it.
no,
And it's about going into you, and then I show you how to do it. It's about connecting with your things, and mainstream people just won't. They just don't get it. They're in a different mindset.
yeah, absolutely.
And if they do the actions, they'll still get results. I've had people go through the program who are like that, but I suspect I can feel their sensitivity. So and they've come to me, so I just trust the process, and I feel like, well, they've come to me, they found me, so I must be available for them and give.
Yeah,
And then sometimes people come in the program, they get to a point that I think they come to me very urgent to get rid of their problem thing. And then within a short time, maybe a couple of weeks, a few weeks, they start to get it, like, oh, this is not about getting rid of anything. No, this is about going in. And they start to realize it's about flow, it's about alignment, it's about tuning into, it's about listening to yourself, respecting yourself, self-love. look where I came from, and the bulimia, I was in severe self-hate. I didn't want to go there. I didn't want those feelings or those memories.
Yeah.
So I had self-attack with the bulimia. The first thing I did to start healing, which is the core of the base of the pain-free method, that after 10 years, I particularly hated my boobs and my legs. I don't know, maybe it's all part of it, I don't know. I was growing into a woman, and legs and movement, and I don't know. So I just detested myself. But one day I saw an image of myself in the future. And this is why I say to people who come to me, are you ready to heal? Are you ready to let go? Are you ready to change? Then I can help you. If you're not ready and you're still in that story and you're still in the whirligig, um, I can show you, but I don't think it's going to really make a difference. You're not ready. And in this moment, I saw an image of myself as an old lady chucking up in the loo, and I thought, no, I don't want that. So that was the key of beginning. And
Yeah.
from that, it took me 5 years to stop. But then I found Louise Hay mirror work, and I
Lovely.
started, well,
Love Louise Hay.
brilliant, beautiful, beautiful soul. And I put my hands on I used to look in the mirror in my eyes, and I'd cry and feel so stupid, like embarrassed of myself, of looking at myself alone, saying, I love you. I love every part of you, even the horrible bits, even the disgusting bits. I love every part of you. And it was life-changing. Self-love is where it's at.
Yeah.
And then I'd do things like I put my hands on my legs. So, okay, well, I need your legs. Quite useful,
Yep. Very.
So it began with an intention of choice. And
Yeah.
then the beginning actions was self-love. And then it was a process from then. But I didn't know about the pain-free method back then. It took the learning, the body, the people, helping, and the breakup to crack it open,
Yeah.
for that to happen, that to begin. Yeah, I'll tell you some more stories if you like.
I'd love to hear one. This is
Yeah.
making me quite emotional, actually. My eyes are watering. It's
Oh,
so beautiful. I love it. I love these wonderful healing stories. And the
pretty
simplicity,
cool.
actually, it's once you've worked it out, it's actually quite simple, isn't it? And I love
It's so simple. And that's a lot of things what trips people up when I've put it into a 90-day program because it's not enough. I do a little taster session so people get a feel for what's this crazy lady, what's she going to do with me. So you
yeah,
can feel what's the process, and that's a little taster session. But the actions aren't it. If you are hungry and you eat, that's the sort of mechanism of the function, but it's the magic of the healing and the wanting and the receiving, and then the process. It's all the whole package. So the 90-day program takes you through 3 steps, and the first thing is get rid of the pain. So that's connecting to you, learning to connect to your problems, your issues, in a way that lets them go. And then as people come into the program, then it goes deeper, like releasing the reason it's there, and all sorts of worms can come up,
yeah,
triggers and patterns and mum and childhood things and all sorts of things. I had one lady who had high level anxiety, and she was a little girl at 8 when she walked into I don't know if I want to say it on this recording, but so she had severe shock when she was 8, and it left her with anxiety all her life. And not only that, but the pattern repeated through her life. A severe
yeah,
shock story.
yeah.
It kept repeating. So if you don't, by no fault of anybody's fault, if you don't find peace with the challenges you have in your body, in your world, in your heart, in your head, in your memory, if you don't find peace, it will keep coming at you, repeating
Yeah.
until you find peace, until you allow yourself to find peace with whatever challenge you have.
It's like the law of attraction, isn't it? That vibration of trauma
Yeah,
just keeps coming back. So
exactly.
yeah,
It's a mirror. It's a
yeah,
mirror. And we can't fight it.
yeah,
We can't. And you can ignore it and you can move on, pretend it's not there, or live with it, or cope with it, or manage it. but your soul will not be satisfied until you allow peace and let go. But what
Yeah,
I found over my life is that life is not going to force you to do anything you don't want. It's always free will. Number one rule of life, free will. And it'll just keep asking you. It'll say, "What do you want to look at that thing yet?" I mean, I didn't talk about my childhood experiences until I was 30. And then even then it was a flippant comment to a good friend. I thought, God, did I say that? I didn't tell
yeah,
you that, did I? At 30.
yeah,
And then since then, and especially working with so many people, it's really made me think about my own life and my own body and my behavior.
yeah,
And so many memories and feelings on layers have released and bubbled up as I work with people, as I
yeah,
observe life and humans and people. And I start to observe myself. Because in the 20s, I used to give, 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 give. I thought if I just give everything, give all the love, it's all going to be wonderful.
yeah.
But then I crashed and burned at 30.
Yeah, like Marissa Peer, the hypnotherapist, says, you have to breathe out, which is the giving, and then you have to breathe in, which is the receiving. It's like giving, receiving, and giving and receiving. And you were just giving, so you were not breathing in. And we have to
I
do
was
that.
not. I
Yeah,
was not. I was surfing over it.
yeah,
But life is interesting, it's like energy, it's like balance will always call you back. It's always calling you back to your soul, to your balance. But talking about healing, I'm studying astrology at the moment, and I we have an astrologist at PainFree just beginning next week, I
yeah,
think it is.
yeah,
Yeah, and she's going to be a monthly feature at PainFree, and it's free for anybody to come along. And so I'm looking at astrology, and I really feel strongly that stars and planets are something very, very important for us
yeah,
to know, to understand, to learn about ourselves. Um, and she said, I've come to understand I'm a double Pisces, double,
yeah.
and apparently that means strong healing tendency.
And your
And
name is healing in
Alth-
Greek. Althea.
Althea means healing in Greek. It does, and my whole name Althea is an anagram of health. So it's like, no, oh, for goodness sake.
Love this. I love
It's
this.
it's amazing, isn't it? And so
Yeah,
what I understand about this healing ability, I see through things. I see far and travel, keep going. I think it's a Piscean thing that you just you have visions, and your viewpoint is like, if you imagine, like I feel like I'm on the sea, and I'm just seeing the grey water, and I keep going, and I can see the horizon. I keep going, and I'm going beyond, what's beyond that, and what's beyond that, and what's beyond that, and it's like a spreading of view, you know.
yeah,
And things come, abilities come, and senses come. So I show people how to do it. I show people how to connect with their stuff, so they're released and free. Because I wasn't released and free. I was stuck inside. I
yeah.
couldn't have a proper relationship because I couldn't share my one self. I couldn't. It wasn't a good place to go to.
No, there was such a lot of suffering there. Yeah,
Yeah, because um experiences happen in life, and you pick it up. And I think especially as children, we pick it up fully, like a full coat. We fully embrace it
yeah,
into our bodies. And then we grow up, and then we become sort of head and logical and adults. And then we tend to sort of brush things off and um, analyze it and become logical about things.
yeah,
But you're coming from a physical whole body experience, and especially if it's things that are not nice, like that little girl at 5, like me at 8, and um, things are forced upon you in experiences. And even later, sometimes people have accidents. One guy, Martin, he had accidents at 18, 19, wild young lad on motorbikes, crash and burn. And he had back pain for 30 years. So nothing traumatic there, but he's just, young lad and having crashes. But he lived with back pain for 30 years. 30
carrying
years, and he what?
carrying that trauma from the
Yeah, yeah. I mean, talking about accident, I specialize in three main areas. One is long-term pain, chronic conditions. One is accidents and damage from operations. And the other one is just simple niggles and headaches and light things, maybe that's all you need. But for the accidents, it's never just an accident. I remember seeing in the newspaper this guy who they were raving about it because he'd had this dreadful accident and been impaled on a railing or a shard of wood or something. He was impaled on it and it went straight through his body. And they were raving about it in the news because aren't the surgeons wonderful and they've done this and they've done that and they've removed it and it was just missed his heart and they just missed his lungs. He was amazing. He survived. And they were going into how they stitched him up and how they did it, how they got it out. And yes, amazing. Yes, physically amazing. But I was thinking, what about the trauma?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
what was he doing? And what was he doing there? And how did it affect him? And what
Yeah,
does he think? What's his thoughts in his head?
yeah,
You have to address the whole.
yeah,
Otherwise, he might end up depressed for the rest of his life and commit suicide.
yeah,
Who
absolutely.
knows? It's the whole. The whole picture has to be addressed.
Yeah,
Your feelings, your physical body, your thoughts, everything. And this is
yeah,
why in the method there are three stages. Get rid of it, support the healing, and get
yeah,
rid of it. The support bit, there's two key actions there which are critical. One is self-love, because everything is healed through love.
yeah,
Everything. And self-love is the most important thing. And
yeah,
the second thing, which is an action we can do, is to meditate every single day.
yeah,
So that brings you into alignment. What is healing? Healing is alignment. Healing is out of that horrible thing and you've come back to peace.
yeah,
So when you meditate every day, you're practicing alignment, practicing the place you want to be, the
yeah,
healed, pain-free place.
yeah. Which is a really, really positive thing to do, isn't it? And if nothing else, it would give your body a respite from the cycling
Crazy.
trauma that's going around, even if it's
Yes.
jumping off. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So when you're meditating, you practice being in that still place and all those thoughts and all those maybe memories or feelings or physical pain or whatever it is that you're dealing with. Um, yeah, you don't get caught up in it.
Yeah,
You practice peace, and that's where release happens.
yeah,
Otherwise, as human beings, we get caught up in our story. It's so easy. We get triggered, we have old patterns, we have fears, um, beliefs, and we can get caught up in all that human stuff,
yeah,
which is normal. But I like to say everything's okay until it's not. We don't
yeah.
need fixing. And if you feel more or less okay, well, cool. Nothing wrong with that, you
So
know.
tell me how people may contact you, get on your training courses, come to you for treatment. Where are you based? Let's hear all that, please.
Cool. Yeah, all online. Don't have to go anywhere. Just go on the computer or your phone or whatever, all online. And if they go to painfreedom.co.uk, then you'll see all the details. You see loads of testimonials if you want to get some reassurance and book a free consultation with me. And let's have a chat, talk about what thing you want to get rid of or how you're feeling, what state you're in, what's going on. You don't even have to understand anything. You just come with thing you want to get fixed or healed, let's say. So it might be physical stuff, it might be mental or emotional, it might be past traumas. You may know what it is. You might know that things happened and you know that's reflected in your body. Some people know that stuff already, and know the sort of natural healing world of things. So they're already halfway there. But then what's the actions to get rid of the things you don't want? How do you do that? That's the pain-free method. So book a free consultation if you're not sure and you just want to put a little toe in there and just come a little bit nearer. If you're not ready for the full healing, then just come to a taster session. I call it a pain-free experience. And I show the actions to get started. But you have to remember the actions are not it. It's the process of release, of you allowing yourself to come into peace and let go of the stuff that you're troubled by. That's the program. So
Yeah,
come in the program if you're ready for that. But
I
come and
love.
have a chat with a free consultation. Yeah. I could tell you more stories, but is there anything you want to know Does all of that make sense? Does it?
Yeah,
Do you
it
get
does. It
it?
does for me because I've been a therapist probably about the similar time you have, nearly 30 years. And
Mm.
so I kind of get that. I kind of get the story and the journey and the progression through things, and how it evolved and how you faced your issues and how this developed. I think it's brilliant. It's so nice. It's so gentle and it's fully portable.
Completely. So if you
Yeah,
get woken up by pain or whatever it is in the middle of the night, you do it immediately.
yeah,
There are actions from step two that you need to put in place in your life. Because if you're in a terrible place, everything probably is going to be all over the place. Maybe your moods, maybe your life isn't working quite right, or maybe you're not happy, maybe you've got a lot of pain every day, so you're going to have a lot of turbulent energy.
yeah,
So step two is all about putting things into place. I call it equivalent to brushing your teeth every day. You want to keep that methodical rhythm. You want that rhythm going. I was a dancer for 15 years, and it's all about being with the flow of the music, being in the pace, get the rhythm. So
yeah,
those actions are daily meditation, daily loving yourself, and all these kind of things, helping things.
yeah.
Um, and then the third step is to stop things returning. But lost my track a bit on that one. But
You look
um,
what on that? Sorry.
I lost my track. I forgot what was the point I was trying to make.
Oh, that's
So
okay.
and the key bit is, are you ready?
Yeah,
You know, if you're not quite ready, perhaps you would want to come on to a taster session and get an experience of what it's like. Just so a lot of people hang around my emails for a year, 2 years, few months to get a feel for it, you know.
before they come on board.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's like that. I mean, I took 30 years, but before I even talked about, and I didn't even realize the connection with it all. You know, I just lived life and flung myself into life.
Yeah, doing your best. So it's painfreedom.com.uk.
Painfreedom.co.uk.
Yeah,
Yeah. So get a taster session or come on book a free consultation and let's have a chat and look at the options, see what you want to do. And I just want to say that most people who come to me have long-term chronic pain and are full of skepticism, like it's going to work for them. They're very have a lot of trepidation and to make that commitment to themselves. Maybe they don't know if it can work for them or if they can do it or they can commit to it.
yeah,
So they're in a very wobbly place, and that would be quite normal. And I just want to say that if you know what you don't want, and maybe you're not even sure what you do want, but you just don't want that,
yeah,
that's a start. That's a start.
yeah.
So wherever you are, if you want to be in a better place, then I can show you the ropes. I can show you the process.
What I like about this is it's so gentle and it's so
Cool.
loving. And I think that that's such a powerful thing for people because people are so traumatized. And this offers something that's just great for that.
It is, and I think part of it is because maybe my Piscean kind of energy. I don't know, but it comes from a child's place. It comes from an 8-year-old. That origin space.
Yeah,
I think, um, and just to say what kind of people I treat, give you some ideas about to
yeah,
see if it's for you. Um, so I've had people with all sorts of conditions, from endometriosis in women, or all sorts of. I specialize in physical things, but as I said, it's if you feel thing you don't want, you can treat for that.
yeah,
Um, but I specialize in physical things, and I've helped all sorts of people with knee conditions, arthritis, hips, back conditions, all sorts of things, degenerative discs, crumbling spine, osteoporosis, arthritis, trigeminal nerve pain, lots of nerve pain conditions I've treated, help people release.
yeah,
Um, and migraines, skin rashes, heart conditions, tinnitus. I mean, if it's a thing you don't want, come and have a
yeah.
chat.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Althea.
You're welcome.
I've really enjoyed our chat.
Fantastic.
So for my viewers on my channel, it's healthfreedom.co.uk. Do get in touch with Althea if you've got issues that are bothering you. And well, from where I stand, it looks like you're going to be in very safe hands.
Well, so it's all with a loving place, and I'm very sensitive. I'm not going to push you. It's all on your journey, and I just show you how to do it. And I offer a program where I'm in there supporting you as you go through the process of pain to pain free. It's called the Pain to Pain Free program.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh,
So get in touch with Althea if you need to, viewers. So thank you, and I hope to see you really soon and spend some more time in your company.
fantastic. And likewise, and thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
You're welcome, and
Yeah,
very soon.
thank you
Yeah,
so much.
see you soon, darling. Bye bye.
Bye.